Hey guys, welcome back to AniVox. Please drop a like and subscribe to the channel to help us keep bringing you the best anime recaps. This anime starts with a very fat loser who has a gentle shit fever inside his body and also on the outside. Because of this, he suffers bullying all the time, and even after he ends up going to another world, he remains a pathetic loser. During the hunger he never ceased to feel, he went there and stole a fruit which made him rise in level as if he was using a hack, making him very powerful, getting pretty slim and attractive, causing him to attract various kinds of girls and creatures. It all starts with Seishi at school being intimidated by his classmates. Acting like a teacher in a classroom, told everyone to form groups and make sure they stay together well because they will all be transported to another world and there they will be heroes. God gives each student a different skill and the ability to read the status of others. When Seishi's status was checked by a classmate, everyone started laughing at him because he has the same statistics as an ant. This caused everyone who no longer liked him to prevent him from joining their group, so everyone with the exception of Seishi was transported to another world. This little ugly fat guy's been left behind. He's fat, he's really fat. Realizing that Seishi was left behind, seeing that he was an undesirable person and a real loser, decided to give him an extra special ability. Instead of releasing him and letting him live his normal sad depressed fat life, God sent him alone to the other world. Unlike all his friends, Seishi ended up in a forest. I don't know if God helped him or if God spoiled the plan for him. After spending 5 days in that forest, Seishi's hunger began to increase more and more. He obviously only stayed alive because of the fat his body had, but that didn't stop him from feeling hungry. In the middle of despair, he tried to eat a worm he saw crawling on the ground, but before he managed to catch it, something jumped out of the bushes and stepped on it. While lying on the floor, he saw a fruit and immediately picked it up. He evaluated it and discovered that it was the so-called fruit of evolution, but he had no other information about it. Hungry, he quickly ate the fruit, which had an awful flavor. By the name, he thought it would make him strong or something. After eating, he heard a voice asking him to activate the fruit. Frightened, he spoke for the fruit to be activated, but nothing happened, so he got up and went looking for more food. Further ahead, he encountered a group of monkeys. When he checked their statistics, he found that these monkeys were level 120, having higher Kai than his own, literally monkeys with high Kai. Without knowing what to do, and still hungry, Seishi wanted to eat a mushroom he had found, but he did not have enough information about what that mushroom did. However, the idiot still ate it and immediately fell to the ground full of pain. Representing the entire population of the fat, when he was about to pass away he decided to pass away by eating, being the hero of all the fat, so he ate the rest of the fruit of evolution he had and immediately felt better. He also acquired resistance to poison, and his classification increased. But before he could celebrate his level rise, he was attacked by an intelligent monkey. He managed to hurt it, and because of that damage, he immediately drank one of the recovery potions he stole. Having done so, Seishi got up and tried to challenge the monkey, but as the monkey was too strong, he was once again beaten. Fortunately, before the monkey could eat him, it smelled the area under Seishi's arm and ended up passing away. Seishi has a skill there that God did not grant. His foul odor, capable of making even an animal pass away, and after it passed away the monkey turned into items, and Seishi, by picking up these items, acquired new skills. Among the items there was a book about intelligent monkeys, and Seishi was surprised to be able to read the text. It was then that he realized that the special skill God gave him was actually the ability to read things. From nowhere, a voice informed him that evolution was beginning. Seishi had no idea what was going on and just started to feel a lot of pain. When the pain diminished, he got up and realized that he wasn't fat anymore and that his statistics had increased a lot. Soon afterwards, he discovered that his evolution had not yet been completed and that he would still go through the same pain at least 9 times. To make things worse, even after defeating a level 120 monkey, he was still at level 1. 5 months have passed with Seishi in the woods. Since then, he has managed to use the knowledge gained from the intelligent monkey to survive, even defeating a massive beast of level 311 and acquiring new skills, in addition to a legendary water spirit's pond. Apparently, for every monster he defeats, he wins a book with the knowledge of the monster. By looking at the book of that monster, he discovered a hidden spot on a map, which made him remember that he saw the same thing in the intelligent monkey book, so he decided to go there to see what it was. At that moment, he immediately went through another evolution. When it was over, he wondered what would happen when he passed through the final evolution. As he lay down thinking about the final evolution, he quickly realized that he was surrounded by more intelligent monkeys. Before he could react, a big ugly red gorilla appeared, and look, it has a pink flower on its head, very cute. That gorilla wants Seishi to fight it. Even though he got stronger, Seishi is still a big fearful coward, so he asked the gorilla if he could refuse the battle, but the gorilla replied that he should come to fight and that the other intelligent monkeys would not interfere. Even so, Seishi was afraid for his life. After all, this gorilla is at level 700. To make things worse, the gorilla already came in with a punch. Seishi even managed to escape, but he was overwhelmed by the strength of that blow. He also noticed that the gorilla was casting loving looks at him, and apparently this gorilla likes strong people a lot. That's when Seishi realized that in fact this gorilla is female, and realizing that he won the heart of a gorilla made him feel angry. In response to all this love, he used a sharp attack, which the gorilla managed to evade easily, and her heavy dual kick unfortunately hit him. He did not deviate from this blow and was thrown flying through the forest. The gorilla was very impressed that her quick fist didn't make this human pass away, so she wanted to go even further, having this human exactly the type she likes. However, Seishi made it clear that he was not interested in having a romance with the gorilla, but even so the gorilla presented herself as Soraya, while trying to act nicely and timidly. Seishi asked why an ugly gorilla had the name of a pretty girl, and all Soraya heard was that she was very pretty. Still angry with everything that was happening, Seishi used the inflexible tail skill he had received to attack her, but she used an air pulse and fell on him like a bomb. Seishi escaped, and he hoped that the gorilla would have passed away by doing so, but she rose up and expressed her joy that he had managed to escape her attack. Seishi then used the water spirit's barrel to enlarge his water magic. By raising his hand over his head, he used a skill called Fall Disaster, which would release a lot of water on his opponent. However, as he is dumber than a monkey, he did not direct his water to Soraya, and was hit by his own attack. He tried to cover up his own stupidity by acting calmly and saying that Soraya was very good at fighting. However, she immediately told him that she had nothing to do with what had happened. After all, she is a gorilla with 200 kai, and Seishi was embarrassed that a gorilla drew his attention to his folly. To make things worse, the gorilla didn't give him time to recover and used her flash fist to give him a kick. The old fat man's life passed before his eyes. As a last resort, he released his skill called Bad Odor. However, instead of making her pass away as it happened to another clever monkey, Soraya declared her love for him and asked him to marry her. At Soraya's house, Seishi demanded that she let him go, but Soraya told him that he was her husband and that he would have to stay with her. In response, Seishi said that she is a gorilla and he is a human, so there was no way they could marry. Instead of responding, she told him to eat, and when he took a bite, he was surprised with delicious food. Besides the food, Soraya revealed that she had made new clothes for him. Seeing all this happening in front of his eyes, Seishi was about to go mad. After all, a gorilla was a great wife. Still covered in doubts, and he asked her how she could speak, and she told him that she had found some books in a cave and read them. She showed him the books, and by reading them, he immediately acquired skills. While watching Soraya fishing, Seishi planned his escape, but before he could go far, he faced a giant spider and shouted like a girl in danger. Soraya immediately came to his rescue and gave it a blow, making it fly into the sky. She asked the quite shaken Seishi if he was okay, and he was no longer so afraid of the gorilla. He was even thinking of himself as a superficial idiot for judging the gorilla by appearance. The guy was starting to be conquered by the gorilla. While eating, Soraya told Seishi that she and the intelligent monkeys would go out to collect the fruit of evolution. She asked him if he knew exactly what it was, and he said no despite having stolen several fruits that she had previously collected. Soraya said that if someone eats 10 of these fruits, they'll get very strong. However, if the person eats 11 they pass away, and she also mentioned that she herself had already eaten 10 and that someone had stolen the only fruit she had kept to give to her future husband. Seishi was frightened when she said that she would end the thief who stole them, so he immediately begged for his life, admitting that it was he who had stolen them. She forgave him but said that since he had eaten them, they would have to marry. Hearing this, Seishi made an expression of denial, and Soraya asked if he hated her. He said no, and having said that, she appeared dressed as a bride and began begging him to marry her. After that, Soraya went out to hunt, and Seishi took the opportunity to escape. Meanwhile, at another location, Seishi's classmates are training. Basically, by arriving in this world, all those who did not want to form groups with Seishi were assigned to defeat the Demon Lord, and since then they have been working only on that. Back in the woods, Seishi was fleeing from Soraya. When she found out he had disappeared, she began to look for him. Seishi already arrived at a cave with an intimidating aura, but he ran inside when he heard a few screams. Inside the cave, he opened a door and found a room where he saw a skeleton with red light coming out of its eyes, and the skeleton was sitting on its throne. When it saw him, the skeleton was impressed by the fact that he was able to get to its room and believed that Seishi was strong enough to do that. Seishi, on the other hand, saw this skeleton as a dangerous being and decided to check its statistics. He discovered that this skeleton is the Dark Lord and that it is at level 1. Even after titling itself scary, with its enemy being at level 1, Seishi ended up getting relieved. After all, if it is at level 1, he can face it. However, the skeleton told him to look again at what Seishi did, and quickly he discovered that that thing in front of him was at level 1500. After showing its level, it told Seishi that it thought the first person to enter its room would be a very strong person, but instead a loser with a smell of ass appeared and tried to stab Seishi. But Soraya came in the way and was stabbed in his place. Seeing the gorilla fading away, Seishi called her by name, which made her very happy to be called by his name for the first time since they met. He tried to give her recovery potions, but she said it was no use as she had already passed away. She also explained that she was only able to speak because of a skill that keeps her active for a while. Seishi used the gorilla's last moments to apologize for the way he had treated her, but she told him not to worry and asked him to smile as her last request. Meanwhile, the skeleton was watching their farewell emotionally and found it all ridiculous. Seishi ordered it to shut its mouth because it does not understand the true love between a human and a gorilla. Now, without anywhere to run and with a lot of anger, Seishi has finally decided to face someone real instead of thinking about running. He attacked the enemy, who easily blocked his attacks, and as he attacked, Seishi was telling it how Soraya had been a wonderful wife. The enemy was surprised at his feelings and asked if he really felt anything for a gorilla. Seishi declared that he loved Soraya, so this time using his brain, he used that water attack and directed a whole stream of water to the skeleton, which used a skill called Black Hole to capture the water. It told Seishi to give up. After all, a weakling like him will never be able to defeat it. However, he refused, claiming that he had not accepted Soraya's feelings for him. Motivated by the great love he felt for Soraya, and using his ability to move instantly, he managed to surprise his enemy and stab it. It accepted its defeat and thanked Seishi for showing it true love, but before it disappeared, Seishi saw a young woman show up and hug it. As they hugged each other, it told her that it would protect her this time. After that, Seishi saw them disappear and soon remembered Soraya and ran to her. She also began to disappear, but he kissed her just before she faded away, and at that moment, a bright light appeared in the place where Soraya was. Before there was a beautiful girl with red hair and a pink flower in her hair. Seishi was surprised by all this, and to top it off, the girl rose up and ran to hug him, which caused him to have a nosebleed. When Seishi realized that this girl was Soraya, he was quite shocked. After all these events, Seishi read the story and discovered that the enemy he just defeated was a nobleman 1,500 years ago, but he was betrayed by his wife and by the emperor. The only person who supported him was his maid, who loved him very much, but she passed away while trying to sacrifice herself to save him. After her passing, he became a vengeful monster and spent his days alone in the cave. Moved by their story, Seishi told Soraya that he was happy to have managed to reunite the two again. After all this thrill, the final evolution of Seishi began, and when it ended, he became even more attractive, but still very ugly compared to certain standards. After all this, Seishi told Soraya that he would like to leave the forest, and she said that she would go anywhere with him. At that moment, a little sheep appeared and presented herself as the administrator of the dungeon. She said she had come because they were the first to clear the dungeon, and Seishi said she was a little late, so she admitted that she was late because she was enjoying Seishi's suffering as he went through his final evolution. Then she gave Seishi the rewards for clearing the dungeon, which were some evolutionary fruits to cultivate and a 10-day journey set. She also gave Soraya a dress and Seishi a helmet before transporting them out of the forest. So they had everything they needed to start their journey. Seishi told Soraya that they should go to the nearest city and register in the Adventurers Guild. In the middle of the way, they found a slime of level 88, and Seishi defeated this monster very easily. That's how he realized that he had become a very strong guy. Among the items that this little monster dropped was a pair of boots and also some skill cards that allowed him to level up. This time his level climb didn't make Seishi very happy because he was feeling that he was becoming a monster and he didn't want to accidentally end someone with a single blow. At that moment, he took off his helmet, and the item turned into a tunic. Soraya handed him an explanation of why the helmet had changed. Basically, an item that was to hide his face evolved and now became a mantle that will hide his true strength from others. At the entrance of the first city, Seishi lied, saying that they had lost their identities, so the guard asked them to touch the gem of truth to determine their criminal status and let them enter the city. As soon as they did, he let them pass and warned them to take care of the guild. He then presented himself as Cloud and asked them to look for him if they needed help. Even after Cloud's warning, Seishi headed to a guild, thinking that probably the guy was exaggerating with his warning. But as soon as he opened the door, he saw a blonde woman recording an American Pie movie. He immediately closed the door because he couldn't believe what he had just seen, and when he opened it again, this time she was pouring wax for depilation on a man. Looking around, he saw more strange people and soon realized that it was Batman's birthday and quickly told Soraya that they should leave. However, before they could leave, they were stopped by the guildmaster, who was wearing only what was important. He presented himself as a gangster, and Seishi thought the guy was a meathead who only wanted to show off his muscles. The man then flexed his muscles in their faces and strategically pushed them into the building. Inside, he drew the attention of the blonde woman, who immediately changed her clothes and presented herself as Iris, the receptionist. She told them the guild was gathering information from everybody and that if they signed up to the guild, they would have access to this information. Seeing all this cozy atmosphere, Seishi said it all reminded him of home and told Soraya that it would be a good idea to join that guild. As soon as they finished registering, 3 guys came in and asked Seishi to come with them. They took him to the back of the building, and when he took off his mantle, they were impressed with his beauty. At that moment, Seishi was caught by surprise. He thought he was going to fight the guys, but the guys began to take off their clothes in front of him. All this was just a welcome party for them. Those men didn't want something casual. They wanted something else, so he ran away to protect his virtue, but the guys went after him. They tried to convince him that he would love the experience, but he didn't listen and ran faster. After that, Seishi managed to return to the guild, and the guild master said he was surprised that he was able to come back alive. He also said that Seishi was the first person to come back alive. To make things worse, before they can officially enter the guild, they need to go through some tests. The guild master explained that they need at least someone of rank B to supervise them both, and so they presented Artoria, who is a very strong adventurer but with bad luck. Since Seishi was just focused on her big assets, he didn't hear a word of what she said, so Soraya had to draw his attention. Artoria was not satisfied with the idea of overseeing them, and when she complained, the guild master told her that Seishi survived those guys, so he could survive her. After hearing this, she finally accepted and apologized for her rude behavior. So when they were going for the first test, Artoria told them that they would start with a simple job. The first thing they were supposed to do was help in an orphanage, and Soraya offered to do that. While they were on their way to the second job, Artoria helped a child who had been injured. While she was taking care of the wounded leg, the rope that held some wooden boards loosened. Seishi even tried to reach them, but the boards fell, and getting closer, he saw that Artoria had managed to block them using her defensive ability. The second mission was to demolish a building. While Artoria tried to explain how they would do the work, Seishi entered the building and, forgetting that he is very powerful, pushed a single brick, causing the whole house to fall on him. Artoria was worried, thinking that Seishi had been hurt, and she ran to look for him. While looking for him, she blamed herself for what had happened because everyone around her always got hurt, and that is why she was called Artoria of Calamity. While she was crying, Seishi came out from under the rubble, and as soon as she saw him, she called him a brainless idiot and verbally scolded him for acting carelessly. She told him that as an adventurer, he needed to be able to feel the danger and be careful, saying that his stupidity would cost the life of his crew. Seishi then apologized, and they went on to the next mission. While Seishi's classmates were training, the instructor watched them from a balcony with another knight. She told the knight that she was against sending them to fight against the demon lord because the war has nothing to do with them. She also admitted that she was totally against the war against the demons and said that she would do everything she could to protect them. Back in the village, Artoria informed Seishi that the final task was to walk with the dog. He thought that trick would be dirty until he saw that the dog was actually a wolf. The wolf chased him through the garden while its owner and Artoria watched. Seeing Artoria very happy, Seishi went there and said that she was happy for his sake, but she immediately denied it, although her face was red like the start of a nuclear explosion. After the mission was completed, they returned to the guild and took their reward, which in this case was swimwear. They received it as if it was the most natural thing to receive as a prize. After that, Iris asked if they had a place to stay, but they said no, so Artoria said they could stay in the hostel where she is staying. Seeing this, Iris and the guild master were surprised. After all, it wasn't her habit to do something like that. Ashamed, she even thought of withdrawing that offer. However, Seishi and Soraya had already agreed. After all this, Seishi, Soraya, and Artoria went to a field to do another test. Artoria explained that all they needed to do was collect 10 medicinal herbs. However, Seishi immediately ran off, not hearing everything she had to say, and Artoria only smiled when she saw Soraya following him. A while later, Soraya handed over the herbs she had gathered, but when it was Seishi's turn, he delivered several special mushrooms. Artoria asked him where the herbs she asked for were, and he said he hadn't seen any, which made Artoria call him a donkey and say that she had never seen anyone so dumb as him. After all, the medicinal herbs they're collecting are quite easy to find, and there were even some right at his feet. He took them and gave them to her, but she said that's not enough, and once again he ran into the woods to get something that was right in front of him, but he couldn't find it. While wondering why he could only find rare herbs, he heard some people talking. But as he doesn't even know how to take care of his own life, he decided to get into the lives of others and went to see who those people were. From afar, He could not hear what they were talking about, so he decided to ask them if they knew where he could find the herbs he was looking for. In doing so, he discovered that the two were demons under the command of the captain of the 3rd Division of the army of the Demon Lord. Upon discovering all this, Seishi considered them a bunch of strangers and tried to intervene, but they prevented him because they did not want him to spoil their plan. Since he saw them and probably must have heard their plan, the action started with an ugly troll using his giant club to hit Seishi, but he stopped the guy's club using his ability to absorb and transfer the force of his opponents to himself. Frightened, the cowardly demons fled, so Seishi had no choice but to return to Artoria with the rare herbs he found. In the end, Artoria ended up accepting the rare herbs as he was looking very sad. Back in the Kingdom of Demons, the demons were being questioned why they fled from a human, so they admitted that they had gone to the human kingdom to set teleporting traps to thus reduce the human army before the fight actually began. Their leader asked where the traps would send the humans, and they said that the trap would take humans to the Black Dragon God's breakfast. Their commander said that she felt bad about humans being caught in that trap. Their plan was quite interesting, however, they still needed to be punished for their disobedience. Meanwhile, in the human realm, while waiting for Artoria to begin their last test, Artoria and Soraya met Cloud. Seeing how Seishi and Soraya were doing very well with Artoria, the guy asked that they continue to be kind to Artoria even after all the tests had been completed. Soon afterwards, Artoria joined them, asking if they already knew each other, and Cloud just answered her saying that they had met good people. He then asked if that was the final test, and on receiving the yes answer, he wished them good luck before leaving. The final test was to defeat 10 slimes, so Artoria asked Soraya what weapon she would use, and she said her fists were enough. Artoria was not convinced and said to only watch what was happening. The test started, and when Seishi was about to cut a slime, she disappeared. Artoria took a look at the area and realized that there were teleport spells installed all over the area, so she told them the test should wait and instructed them to go back to town. However, accidentally she stumbled into one of those traps. In that moment, Seishi and Soraya quickly grabbed her, and the three were teleported to the dungeon. The dragon felt their presence immediately and quickly became furious. As he had no idea where they were or how to get back, Artoria suggested that they do the basic thing, which is to find a way out. Then she asked why they had been so quick to help and reproached them for neglecting the use of their brains. In response, Seishi told her that his body reacted before he could think, and Soraya said she wanted to help her. Shaken by their determination, Artoria forgave them and handed a guide stone to Seishi. She said that this stone had several useful functions, such as if a person gets in danger, it will shine red and guide you to that person in danger. As soon as Artoria told them to stay together and not separate, she accidentally stepped into a trap and separated from them. When she tried to call them, it turned out to be useless because they couldn't hear her. Now the only solution is to find another way to join them on the other side of the wall. Seishi was scared. After all, they lost Artoria and he even tried to use his fists to break the wall, but Soraya, who has more intelligence than Seishi, showed him the guide stone and said that they could use it to locate Artoria. Unfortunately, none of them knew how to make the stone work. The only thing they did was ask the stone to indicate the way, and as incredible as it may seem, the stone began to move, flying towards the wall, indicating the place where the person was. Since it's kind of like a maze, they'll have to find the right way to get to Artoria. Meanwhile, the white-haired girl was fighting a mummy who threw her against the wall very hard, causing her to cough blood, but she managed to get up and cut the mummy in two. With the mummy defeated, Artoria sat exhausted on the ground, and her greatest wish was that Seishi and Soraya were well. Meanwhile, Seishi and Soraya continued to enter dead-end alleys, and shortly before he lost his mind, Soraya called him into a room where she had found a large treasure chest. At that moment, Seishi did the cleverest thing he'd ever done since he entered that dungeon. He stepped away, and when Soraya asked why, he said that the chest looked very suspicious. As they talked, the chest demanded that they open it, and because they did nothing, the chest created limbs and tried to attack them. In response, Seishi used his water ability to attack it, so the chest vanished, and Seishi leveled up again. At that moment, a box of mysterious items appeared in front of them, and inside they found a book about the treasure chest. By reading the book, they learned that the chest's intention was only to interact with humans again. Thanks to this great desire, the treasure chest was able to develop limbs and even speak, even acquiring the ability to use magic. However, this only caused humans to see it as a monster. Desperate and alone, the treasure chest could only wander places it had good memories. The chest had the saddest lore of the anime. Picking up the items that the chest left behind, they found a rare item known as the Unfortunate Ring. After evaluating it, Seishi learned that this multiplied a person's luck by at least 2, and this is a pretty interesting item which solves a certain person's bad luck problem. After that, the stone that Artoria gave them began to shine red. On the other side, there was Artoria. exhausted using her shaft as a crutch as she walked, not knowing that she was going towards the room where the great dragon was housed. She pushed a certain door and entered it, and there she felt a great presence before she saw a great dragon. It asked if she had gone there to be its food. The dragon used some sort of wind magic to push her back, and as she is not a person to retreat in the face of danger, she charged again and attacked the dragon. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of demons, those soldiers who were using teleporting spells to create traps had just received their punishment, and the person who punished them was asking them to stop crying because she had done nothing serious to them. She asserted to all of them that the black dragon god was much worse and that he was known as the strongest dragon in the army of the demon lord. Finding him meant having the worst luck. Returning to Seishi and Soraya, they were observing the shining stone, and at that moment Seishi's brain gave a little spark. He remembered the warning about the color change. In summary, he realized that Artoria was in danger, and the stone was flying towards the wall. Desperate, Seishi struck the wall, and this time he managed to break it, even hurting his hands. On the other side, in the dragon's room, Artoria was being mistreated, but she wasn't ready to give up because she wanted to make sure Seishi and Soraya could get out safely. So she used everything she had, even her berserker skill, to attack the dragon, but that didn't even bother the enemy. In the end, to end her, he simply used his claw to hit her as if she were a fly. Although hit, she returned with full force, but before he could approach, he fired thorns from his tail which stuck her to the wall. At this point in the story, Artoria was already being completely consumed by her activated ability, so she did not back down and tried to attack him again. This time, he stabbed her with his thorns and admitted that she had surprised him. He threw her to the ground, and while she was lying down, she murmured an apology to Seishi and Soraya, because she believed she had failed them by not defeating the dragon. She accepted her fate, closed her eyes, and when the dragon was about to finish her, she heard his name. Opening her eyes, she saw Seishi using his mantle as a shield against the dragon's fire. Smiling, he told her that they had come to rescue her. Artoria asked Seishi and Soraya how they had found her, and Soraya explained that the stone began to shine red, and knowing that she was in danger, Seishi entered Superman mode and went out demolishing the walls, opening the way so that they could reach her. She then asked about the dragon, and Seishi, pointing at its fallen figure, said that they accidentally hit it while entering that place. At that moment, the black dragon woke up more angry than before because he was being disturbed by dirty humans. He told them all that they would pass away by his hands, but Seishi said he had no intention of losing to a giant cockroach. The black dragon used his conquering strikes to throw a fireball at Seishi, who managed to block the attack with his swords but was pushed backwards. Seishi used his advanced appraisal and discovered that the dragon was much stronger than him, being at level 5000. Continuing with the fight, he managed to evade and get hit by the dragon's tail using his instantaneous movements. However, the dragon grabbed him with a spell and used his tail to throw Seishi to a wall. While suffering in battle, Seishi wondered why his power absorption skills weren't working. To make things worse, the dragon released his supreme ability called Infernal Head Hell. Now Seishi was sure that this time he and Soraya would be burned to ashes, so Soraya drew his attention, telling him to use the skill he used when he fought against her. So he used his water spirit's pond to unleash a water disaster, completely drenching everybody with water. At this point in the battle, the dragon was completely angry and said that he would not lose to another useless human. Then he threw a fireball at Seishi, who escaped again but was caught in the spell. The dragon prepared to strike his final blow, but Seishi managed to move his body and also acquired a skill called Resistance to Intimidation. Then he attacked the dragon, who was very surprised that this human had been able to free himself, but before he could react, Seishi cut him perfectly. The dragon couldn't believe he had lost to another human and lamented his failure before vanishing, leaving behind a box of items. While Seishi wondered why the black dragon hated humans so much, he leveled up, and Soraya, excited, dropped him to the ground. He asked how Artoria was, and she said that the recovery potions had put her to sleep and that she would be fine when she woke up. Relieved that she was okay, Seishi wanted to go home, but Soraya asked if he knew the way out of the dungeon. He said they could check the item box for something that could help them. So as Seishi was examining the items, he was acquiring new abilities, and he realized that if he used the gem of God that he picked up, his statistics and magical power would increase. In the item box, he also found a long black coat, which was much better than the old coat that was burned by the dragon. The last item in the item box was the biography of the black dragon. With this they discovered that he was once a guardian of humans, but humans became greedy and wanted to make powerful weapons with black dragon materials, so they planned to defeat him. The one who saved him from humans was the Demon Lord, but he was defeated by the heroes who were the humans summoned. With the Demon Lord gone, they sealed the black dragon in the dungeon, and he promised to avenge mankind. After reading his story, Seishi felt moved and later told Soraya that the little sheep had not appeared this time even though they had cleared a dungeon. As Seishi was about to answer, a smoke bomb exploded on his face, leaving him with an afro hairstyle, and now a letter fell on the floor. Soraya grabbed it. In the letter, Seishi was congratulated for having cleared another dungeon while slowly becoming a heartless monster. It was also explained that despite having cleared the dungeon, Seishi could have kept the dragon alive there so that he could live peacefully with the demon lord, and now that he had ended him, he was going to have to fight the devil. Finally, in the letter, Seishi was praised and somewhat ordered to continue with that good work clearing more dungeons, but the little sheep also said that Seishi should really stop doing that, which made Seishi scream in frustration without understanding anything. After that, they returned to normal life with Artoria still unconscious. As they walked towards the city gate, she woke up and demanded that he put her on the floor as she argued to get out of his arms. Soraya told him to be careful because although her wounds had healed, she was still weak. Artoria then apologized for having them involved in her misfortune and showed them her status. All saw that her fortune is 2 million negative. She explained that she was known as the carrier of calamities since she was born and that she brought misfortune to everyone around her. Seishi asked her if there was a way to break the curse, and she said there was no. When they finally arrived at the guild, Artoria asked them what was going on, and she said they were gathering information to find their missing friends. Her eyes filled with tears because there they were referring to her as a friend. Seishi then made the speech about how she is very important to all of them and that they care very much about her and they all want to solve her misfortune problem. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of demons, everyone was already discovering that the black dragon god had been defeated, and they were shocked because he was the strongest being in the army of the demon lord and were wondering who was powerful enough to defeat him. On the other side, Seishi was trying to find Artoria using the stone when from nowhere he encountered the owner of a shop and asked if she had seen Artoria. She said no, but then he asked whether she knew about Artoria's curse, and she said yes. Then she asked him to approach Artoria. In response, Seishi assured her that Artoria is very important to him and that he would not abandon her. After that, he ended up meeting Artoria at the place where they had their first mission and asked what she was doing there. But instead of answering, she asked if she was really important to him. He said that she would always be around if she needed him, but Artoria was stunned and couldn't say anything, so she simply let him hug her. Seishi soon began to think with his lower head and, smiling like a completely perverted guy, said that she smelled good. Artoria, called by her name, jumped as if she had read his mind. She said she was ashamed of everything but thanked him. Thinking about how he could help Artoria, he recalled the ring he had found in the dungeon and thought that it would have the opposite effect on Artoria since her luck was already in the negative. He put the ring on her finger, and when she asked what it was, he said that that ring would increase her luck. Suddenly, Artoria pushed him and ran away, leaving Seishi confused with her behavior that made him wonder what he had done wrong. He soon realized that the way he gave the ring to her looked like a marriage proposal, so he went after her to clear up the confusion. The next morning, Seishi seemed somewhat depressed while having breakfast with Soraya. When she asked what had happened, he revealed that Artoria was avoiding him. In response, Soraya told him not to worry as she was sure that Artoria does not hate him. When he asked what she wanted to do during this morning, she said that she wants to help in the orphanage, so Seishi explained that he was going to go around town and gather information. After separating from Soraya, Seishi went to the guild to ask the guild master and the others if they had any information about any important summoning that happened recently. He asked that in the hope of finding his friends who had been sent to that world, friends that aren't really friends, right? In response to this, the leader of the guild told him that he heard of a neighboring country which made an invocation of several heroes, all this to fight the demon lord who has just been resurrected, and besides he knew nothing else. Remember to like, subscribe and drop ugly fat in the comments, because only the real ones make it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching our stuff and I'll see you in the next video.